David too. We had a great time representing Unity of Pompano in the parade. Okay. This is our year of Living Beyond Enough. We've had a great focus on that all year to be sure that we are always filled up and ready for more. And so this month is a month of celebration, of course. This quote is by Charles Fillmore, and won't you join me in feeling it together? As I pray, the idea of the one reality is quickened in me. I am alive and athrill with the one radiant substance of spirit. All righty, and we have our vision together, centered in God. We create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission statement, we are a spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. And as we take these ideas into our heart, let's join together in a prayer for our nation. Together, we have faith in the love and wisdom of God within every person and situation. We affirm that our country's citizens and its leaders are guided to positive, prosperous, harmonious action that manifests the highest good for all people. And now this morning, it being Advent, our reader is Catherine. Who's grown considerably since she read last year.
My name is Catherine, and I'm going to be reading about inner peace. Sometimes small things can stress me out. Maybe I'm late for school, or I'm unable to find my homework. Frantic searching causes my stress level to rise even higher. At such a time as this, I take a deep breath and turn my search within. Steady breaths and focus on God life within helps me become calm again. In mind and spirit, I am safe in the depths of my soul, where the peace of Christ lives. I am reborn to the peace of Christ, and a calmness washes over me. I have chosen to have a peaceful connection to the Christ of my being. I can and do remain calm. The peace of Christ is reborn in my heart. You are in the Spirit, since the Spirit of God dwells in you. Romans 8:9. Now I will light the candle.
Catherine is lighting the candle from last week to represent faith and hope. And this week, the candle for peace. Thank you. Now let's all stand and sing.
Let's all sing.
The everlasting
Are you now in the Christmas spirit? Yes. We want to welcome you if you're here for the very first time. I've met a few of you this morning, but not all of you. So we invite you to raise your hand for our simple welcome brochure. If you're here for the very first time, we'd like to greet you. Welcome. So nice to have you with us. And this day, like every Sunday, all of you, including anyone here for the first time, all of you are certainly welcome to go next door. We have coffee and snacks, refreshments afterwards, where we have the opportunity to socialize a bit and get to know each other and celebrate the idea of our spiritual family. So we have prayer slips also available because that's very important to us. In the chair backs is a folder, and you'll find a blue prayer slip. We invite you to place that in the prayer box that's in the narthex. It's brought up during our meditation time to remind us to pray with each other. And we also have chaplains that will pray with you invisibly, so to speak, or they would be happy to make a phone call to pray with you if you'd like that. Chaplains are also available half hour before this service in the first room on the right as you go in the hallway in Fellowship Hall. And if you want some quiet, private prayer, just slip in there before the service on Sunday mornings. And whether I remember to announce it or not, our chaplains will stand at the end of the service in the side aisles, and they will be available there for prayer with you after the service. Unity prayer is quick. It only takes a minute or less. So take advantage of learning how to do that affirmative prayer if you're not familiar with it. I know we have announcements, right? Sunday sessions today, always the second Sunday of the month. Come right in here. This isn't a lunchtime thing. Even though it says bring your lunch, I think we'll change the slide. No lunch. Just power through. Go over to Fellowship Hall a little bit, have a snack, and then be back here at 12:30 and meet with Lawrence for an hour. Any in-depth discussion you have about the theme for the month, any questions that you might have about just about anything, that's the time to meet during the month. Okay, we also have a meditation class that's been going on now for 2 weeks. You need not come to all of them. This is a 5-week class. I would encourage you to come out for this and really get some peace and calm into your life, and especially in this time of year. It's starting at 7 o'clock in Fellowship Hall next door. It's based on a book, but you do not need to have the book. Just come on out and enjoy a wonderful discussion about meditation, and then a meditation led by our licensed teacher, Cynthia Roberts. We have lots of things going on to celebrate. We don't go an all-out church party sort of thing because so many of you have many events during this time of year. But if you're available on the next 2 Friday nights, the 15th at 7 o'clock in Fellowship Hall, we're going to have a movie, a Christmas movie called The Christmas Candle, and we'll have some popcorn and a few snacks. So come on out for that lovely social time. And the following Friday, on the 22nd, just before Christmas, we're going to gather at 6:30. And if you can't get here by 6:30, you will find us. We will be the ones singing in the street in the neighborhood. We will go caroling. We have little candy cane door hangers with our name on and an invitation to our holiday services. So come on out for this old-fashioned Christmas tradition of caroling in the neighborhood. And if you've never done it with Unity of Pompano, well, use your imagination. The first few people start a song, and the ones in the middle are talking, and the ones at the back haven't heard that song, and they start another one. But we make our way through the neighborhood and have a good time doing it. So come on out for Christmas caroling. Our holiday service schedule is the same as every year. A Sunday service every Sunday during Advent at 11 o'clock, and then on Christmas Eve, which happens to be a Sunday, even though we've had church that morning, we will have our traditional candlelight Christmas Eve service on that evening. So the 24th, it's just for an hour from 7 to 8 o'clock right here, and then followed by some cookies and snacks and socializing in Fellowship Hall. We feel this is very important. There are many people that don't have family or circles of friends or workplaces where they have a lot going on, and we don't want Christmas Eve to be a lonely time for anybody. So even if you're not lonely, come on out and let's have a festive evening on Christmas Eve. And the same with New Year's Eve is our Burning Bowl tradition. It will not be followed by a social time, but from 7 to 8 o'clock. Then we have our blessing bags that the men, and I think some of the Sunday school kids help prepare, blessing bags for the homeless. Afterwards, John Dolan is going to be in the narthex, and you'll see for yourself. It's a little plastic bag with some nutritious things to hand out to the various panhandlers. And now I really want to give a big promo and ask Ron Smith to join me. We are very excited to be doing a prosperity class. I guess it's back by demand. Many have been saying, when are we going to do prosperity class? Because this is a big thing in Unity, to teach you and to refresh our own understanding of how it is to live an abundant life. So for 10 weeks, 10 Tuesday nights, beginning January 9th, the only fee for this is $45 for the course book. And we will be talking about tithing of your time, your talent, and your money, and really hope to get an understanding of that. Ron?
So this is a class that is really designed to take your current existence to the next level. And let's be honest for a minute. Who here doesn't have an area of your life that you'd like to see bigger, better, more, as Reverend Lawrence likes to say? What area of your life? I see a lot of hands going up here. Absolutely. We can all use more time, more relationships, more friendships, and even more money. So this class, again, it's 10 weeks. This class is designed to show you and teach you principles that will bring this into your life. This is a cutting-edge course that was designed by the senior minister at Unity of San Francisco. So we're going to bring some California consciousness over here to Florida. And if you've taken the 4T in the past, if you've done Mary Morrissey, this is the new Unity standard. So we invite you to join us Tuesday night, January 9th, 10 weeks. Make that commitment, and we look forward to seeing you.
And Ron is going to join Lawrence and me in facilitating that class. It involves lots of interactive things and PowerPoint, and I think we're really going to have a good time. So this is something for everybody. I know some of you have Tuesday night commitments. It's worth giving that a look and see if you can't switch around for 10 weeks for this. All right, let's look forward to that. There's a sign-up sheet in the narthex, I think maybe. Becky? Isn't she on the ball? Thank you, Rebecca. There's a flyer and a sign-up sheet. The sign-up sheet is simply if you are interested. We will order the books, and we'd like to have kind of an idea of how many. I'd love to order 50 books. So come on and think about it, sign up for it. Let's all stand now and greet each other.
Oh, you're all so interesting and attractive. But when the music stops,
This is why we
Thank
don't
you.
need to have a Christmas party, James. Every Sunday is a Christmas party. Are any of you staying for the rest of the service? Oh, good. Good. Nice. Well, we use our Advent reading in the morning because we love to have the children read, and of course they go on to their classes. So as we settle down now and get ready for a time of meditation, I have a reading that's written by a Unity minister, retired and passed away now, Alan Robotham. It's called The Gift of Peace. Is there any greater gift than peace? Peace of mind, peace of soul, where we release any anxiety or fear that we may have in life? The Prince of Peace is right here within us. As we surrender to that, as we give ourselves to that, as we let go and let God, anxiety leaves us. It doesn't mean we don't do anything. We are moved by Spirit to do the things that are ours to do. And we are centered in peace, centered in the very presence of God. This Christmas, let an inner smile of appreciation, gratitude, and trust fill your heart as you remember your own true nature and see it in all whom you meet as you silently say, Namaste, the Christ in me greets the Christ in you. For to us this inner child is born. And the verse is from Isaiah 39:8. There will be peace and security in my days. And now let's prepare for a time of meditation as Ron brings the prayer chest forward as we sing Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel this mighty power and this grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
I invite you now to settle into that very comfortable and familiar position for your body. And as you do so, you can give your body permission to relax, to let go, to let be. And with that loving permission, your body will immediately move its focus from the outer to the inner. You can also give your mind that same loving permission, because this is a time of being. There's nothing that you need to think about. So with body at ease and mind at ease, your awareness is free to commune with Spirit. And today I invite you to focus that attention, your awareness, on peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on outer circumstances, but that peace that passes all understanding. That peace that was brought into consciousness. That peace that is ever abiding. That is your peace. So I invite you to immerse your awareness in your perception of that peace. Unconditional, ever-present, powerful, pervasive. That peace does not take away all the challenges of the world, but it puts it in a different perspective. It's one thing to look at peace from our challenges. It is quite another to look at the challenges from the perspective of peace. So knowing that this peace of spirit is more basic, it is more fundamental than anything else in our lives. Allow yourself to be immersed, enfolded, held in that peace, and from that place, observe the rest of your life. As we do so, we find wisdom in making decisions. We find patience in enduring situations. We find understanding in the midst of challenge. This peace is our very nature. So let us now together, as our awareness is immersed in this pure peace of spirit, let us together be in the stillness. Now, having experienced this peace that passes all understanding, this peace of spirit, as you prepare now to move your awareness back to this place and this time, you know that even an instant during which your awareness is immersed in this deep of your heart, that healing and transformation take place. And you know that you can bring into your body, into your mind, into your heart, the essence of this experience in the stillness. And in this coming week, as you choose to, you can simply take a deep breath and bring back again this essence and experience once again the blessing of this time. So now, with a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be together in this way, I invite you to take a deep, slow breath in through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale slowly through your mouth. When you're ready, open your eyes and we will sing together, Alleluia.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
is sat upon your knee. I wrote to you with childhood fantasies. Well, I'm all grown up now and still need help somehow. I'm not a child, but my heart still can dream. So here's my lifelong wish, my grown-up Christmas list. Not for myself, but for a world in need. Oh, lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal our hearts. Everyone would have a friend, and right would always found, in love and never end. No, this is my grown-up Christmas list. As children, we believe the grandest sight to see was something lovely wrapped beneath the tree. But heaven only knows that packages and bows can never heal a heartache human soul. No lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal our hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. No, this is my grown-up Christmas list. What is this illusion called? The innocence of you. Maybe only in a blind belief can we ever find the truth. No more lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal our hearts, yeah. And everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. This is my grown-up Christmas list. This is my only, my long list. This is my grown-up Christmas list.
That's Karina. That's the music of David Foster.
Thank you, dear. Oh, my goodness. Isn't that wonderful? This was my uniform on the Christmas parade route, and it was a lot of fun. Somebody said I should wear it this morning, but if you've ever seen Santa Claus hat hair, it's not a pretty picture. So any of you need to keep your ears warm, I will loan it to you. Now, this is a really serious, important time of year, but there has to be a little levity along the way, too. So, along the way through the years, I picked up a few Christmas one-liners. Do you know how the reindeer opens his comedy routine? By saying, "This is really going to slay you." You know how lions celebrate Christmas? They sing Jungle Bells. You know what the you know what the fear of getting stuck in a chimney is called? Santa Clausophobia. You know how you know how snowmen get around? On their bicycles, on their icicles. See, you messed my rhythm up here. It's got one more, and I will close after this one, this part. You know what Santa Claus calls the reindeer that won't work? Dinner. Do I know how to end them or what? Huh? We are celebrating together this season of Advent. Advent has been around for a long time, and the purpose of Advent for us is to prepare us to experience Christmas in a very special way. So that we don't just one day wake up and say, "Oh, it's Christmas, let's do something." We take time to prepare our minds, to prepare our hearts. And for me, ever since I've been in ministry, it's always been a time for me to say, I want to experience Christmas like never before this year. Not that in the past was bad, but I want to take it to another level. I want to see it in a different way. I want to see it deeper. I want to experience it more deeply. So Advent allows us to do that, and it helps us to do that. But a lot of people don't have a clue about where Advent came from and why we have Advent. So that's part of what I'm doing during this month of Advent. I've taken Advent and broken it down into 4 pieces. And the first one is the context. What did Advent come out of? What were the precipitating factors for Advent even to happen? The second is the promise that comes out of Advent. The third is the waiting of Advent. And the fourth is the fulfillment of Advent. Now, last week I shared with you about the context of Advent, and we went all the way back to the first chapter of Genesis to find that, where we found Adam and Eve living in bliss in the garden and being told what they were supposed to do and what not supposed to do, and they chose to do what they were not supposed to do. They broke the covenant that they had with the Creator. And the immediate thing that happened after that was that there was a promise given that even though you have broken the covenant and you can't make it right, there is one coming who will make it right. So immediately out of that context came a promise. And I mentioned to you that was an inherent situation. There was an inherent injury. There was an inherent seemingly brokenness. But there was also an inherent hope. And that hope came when that promise was spoken, and it resonated with humankind to know that despite how it looks, despite how it feels, it all is going to be well because that promise was given to take us forward. That hope lives in us today. How do we end our prayers? What's the last thing you do when you pray? Amen. A lot of people think that's saying, "Bye, God," and hanging up the telephone. Literally, amen means I believe. So after you pray, you say, I believe. That's it. We also say, what are some of the other ways we use it? And so it is. That's another way of expressing this hope, this certainty that we have, that the promise is there for us. Now, this began Advent, this context of an inherent need for what we might call salvation or deliverance or healing or redemption. All of those words have been used in the theological realm. There was an inherent need to which there came a promise that that need would be taken care of, that it would be made right, and that resonated with that inherent hope that was in us. This is the very beginnings of Advent. Now, as we go forward in Advent, let's look at the promise that was given. This promise was not conditional. It's an interesting thing, and I've encouraged I've encouraged all of you, and many of you have done it, to read through the Bible. We'll be doing that again next year. I'm challenging you to take time just to sit down and read through the Bible. Don't try to understand it. Don't study it. Don't compare it. Just read through it. That's all you need to do. I'll provide you with a sheet of paper that will tell you exactly how many chapters a day to read. And short of my coming to your house and reading it to you, it couldn't be easier than that. And what happens when you read through the Bible, you get a sense of the history of humankind trying to understand God. You think you struggle now? You think that's a new thing? It's not a new thing. It's been going on for millennia. Humankind, ever since we drew breath and were able to think our first thought, have tried to figure out how we really relate to the divine, how finite can be related to the infinite, how relative can be related to the absolute. And that's what you find in the Bible. So as you read through the Bible, you find a progression, and you start to find patterns that happen in the Bible. Now, one of the patterns that shows up in the Bible is the fact that humankind hasn't been terribly faithful to the covenants that have been made with the Creator. This pattern happens over and over again. The people who were calling themselves God's people, the people that we find the stories about in the Bible, they go off seeking other gods. And bad things happen to them, and they repent and come back, and God says, okay, we'll make a new covenant now. And I'll renew my promise to you. I never broke my promise. You did, but I didn't. Here's the promise again. And things go along pretty well after a while. Then the people go wandering off to something else and get in trouble, then come back and repent. And God said, okay, here we go. Here's a new covenant with you, and I will keep my promise. This happens over and over and over. Does this sound familiar? Any of you ever find that in your own life? That seems to be a pattern that's a part of race consciousness, human race consciousness, that we don't necessarily have to be a part of, but often we are. So this situation happens over and over again. This need arises, and there's the promise once again. The need arises, there's the promise once again. Over and over, all the way through the Old Testament, and then even into the New Testament, Jesus comes along. And he says, I'm giving you something new now. I'm telling you that the most important thing in the world is to love each other. That's a new covenant. How are we doing on that one? We may not have done so well, but the promise has remained firm that all will be made right. Have you had the sense of experience healing? Thing, it's being made right. Have you had a sense of a question being answered deep within your heart, and you've had this sense of it's being made right? Where a situation that seemed hopeless is now turned around, and it's very different, and it seems to have been made right. This promise goes on and on and on, and it is always with us. How many of you have ever witnessed Handel's Messiah? Handel's Messiah, the great piece of music that was written that talks about Advent, basically. It starts out with the birth. It starts out with that promise of the Messiah that was coming, and it plays that out and takes us all the way to the crucifixion, all the way to the resurrection. But the underlying that whole grand piece of music is this idea of the promise that is there. One of the passages of Scripture that's used in that comes out of Isaiah. Well, several of them come out of Isaiah, but here's one of them. The 9th chapter. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. This was this promise that occurred over and over again and was repeated by prophet after prophet and then brought into another form and brought to us through the life of Jesus. So out of the inherent need for redemption, for salvation, for understanding, for healing, came this promise that it would be accomplished. And out of that inherent hope that is in us, that lies under everything else, this promise attached and activated, and it lives in us today. So the promise goes on and on and on, never ending, never ending. And that passage in Isaiah talks about all the things that would be happening to give us an idea of what was coming. That things, big things would be happening. Now, we haven't always understood that, but it's always been with us. Hebrews chapter 8 quotes a passage from the Old Testament where God says, "This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after that time, declares the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind and write them on their hearts. I will be their God and they will be my people." That promise is reiterated over and over again, and it stands here for us today. Now, historically, as we look at the stories in the Old Testament that convey the truth that is there, we haven't always understood those, and sometimes those stories have been limited to the historical context. But if we look at these things metaphysically, we know that that inherent need that is in each of us came about by our own choices, by our own decisions. Charles Fillmore said that we are not punished for our sin, but by our sin. We've done this to ourselves. And every time humankind has made decisions that brought challenging things into our lives, God's promise has remained there. It will be made right. Every time humankind has gone off to the side and done something out of human understanding or human wisdom that didn't turn out so well, God's promise has always been there. It will be made right. And we know that that being made right is not going to happen by a Messiah arriving somewhere out there. At the time, the Jews were hoping for deliverance from the Romans. And they wanted God to send this mighty warrior who just kicked the Romans all over the place and give them back their country. That's what they were expecting. Something outer coming, somebody coming and making this happen. But that's not what we look forward today. We look forward what is in here. That promise lives not in some fulfillment out there, but it lives in here. As we have made choices that created these circumstances, we, in our understanding and our thinking, can make things right because Spirit moves in us and through us. And this abides. This does not diminish. This does not change. Our understanding fluctuates up and down. Our willingness fluctuates up and down. Our choices fluctuate up and down. But this presence of the promise of Spirit within us remains always. And again, that is inextricably hooked to that hope that is deep, deep within us. I mentioned last week that many of you have been at the bottom of the ground at some time or another, at the bottom of the hole. And yet here you are because of that inherent hope that is in you that allowed you to look in the direction of redemption and healing and wholeness. And that has come from within you. So as we go into Advent, as we continue to go through Advent, we talked about the context, how it happened, how it began, and now we've looked at the promise that is there. I invite you this week to take that promise with you into this week and look at every situation from the perspective of that promise. Every situation that is challenging you in your life to know this will be made right. This will be made right. Every fear that you may be struggling with, to know, I feel the fear and I can't make it go away right now, but this hope in me says the promise is still present and it will be made right. The situations that seem so wrong and so irreparable out in the world, we can look at those and say, that's the way it seems to be right now, but I know it will be made right. Let us allow that promise to continue to live in us as we see it having lived all through history from that initial moment when Advent all started. Now, I told you there were 4 components. We've looked at the context of Advent. We've looked at the promise of Advent. And given that most of you have been doing this, you know the truth of this promise. You know this truth of the hope. How many of you want it now? Lord, give me patience and give it to me now. Well, next week we're going to take a look at waiting. What do we do in the meantime? Okay, here's the promise. I accept it. I affirm it. I know it's true. Where is it? Let's take a look at this waiting next week. But for this, between now and then, while you're waiting, I encourage you to hold to that truth that the promise is present. The promise that all will be made right, that all really will be well. Hold to that in every situation, no matter how demanding it may be, no matter how confusing it may be, no matter what everybody else thinks. I invite you to come back to that deep place within you and say, here is the hope that I have, the knowing that I have, the assurance that I have, and here is the promise of Spirit of abiding presence. Jesus said, I will be with you always. And that promise of Advent is with you now. It is with you now. It is with you now. God bless you.
And now we have our opportunity to give. And I know that so many of you are regular and faithful members who participate in keeping Unity of Pompano, this active, loving, spiritual community that it is. I want to personally thank you. I'm sure all of you know by now, if you're a regular here, that you are our only source of support. There is not a overarching, some sort of administrative unity that sends us money. So as we close the month of December and you review your giving for the year, we'd invite you to take advantage of any of those matching funds that come your way, or just to review if you have given financial acknowledgement of the value you're getting here. And if you're our guest today, we just appreciate your being here, and anything that you give is appreciated as well. So some of you give on a regular basis with Bill Pay or PayPal, and you may want to hold the proxy sheet. There's a little card in those folders in the chair backs. It's a little green card as I'm digging around for the one here. It has our Good is Mine affirmative offering prayer, and you're welcome to take that home with you if you like to. So won't you hold your gift in your hand, or hold the proxy card in your hand, and feel that energy of love coming to support Unity of Pompano, and let's bless it together. Good is, wow. Let's start again. With a grateful heart, I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today I declare good for myself and all others. Good is mine. Good and more good is mine. And ever increasing good is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it, I experience it, I freely give it, and it multiplies itself around me. And so it is. Amen.
Here's a little Christmas song we got from Amy Grant. All right.
I made the same mistakes before. Too many malls, too many stores. December traffic, Christmas rush. It breaks me till I push and shove. Children are crying while mothers are trying to photograph Santa and sleigh. Shopping and buying and standing forever in line. What can I say? I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, little peace right here. December comes and disappears, faster and faster every year. Did my own mother keep this pace? Or was the world a different place? Where people stayed home, wishing for snow, watching 3 channels on their TV. Look at us now, rushing around, trying to buy Christmas beads. I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, a little peace right here, to end this crazy day with a silent night. What was it like back there in Bethlehem, with peace on earth, goodwill toward men? I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, a little peace right here, to end this crazy day with a silent night. To end this crazy day with a silent night.
If you need a silent night, and don't we all, come on out Tuesday night for the meditation class. As we finish up for today, I want to thank everybody for being here, for keeping all of us in your thoughts and prayers throughout the week, and for this holiday time to find that special celebration of hope and promise within. So as we close today, I invite you to remember to pray with the chaplain as you come to the end of the service. We have Sandra and Cynthia and Olga over here and Ron on this side. They would be happy to take a few moments to pray with you. So let us stand now and close together with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God holds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth. The peace it was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I don't know. Yeah, just play the intro. I gotta get the lyrics. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Gusto verte, mama. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loading lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Though it's been said many times, many ways,